Lagardo. Greetings from Cyberpunk. Today, a perfectly calibrated frequency is pulsing through the Chrome Canyons. Let's talk about silicon souls composing symphonies of logic. But before anything, follow the channel, leave a like, and let's jack into another pure IA news. Today, we're dissecting a ghost that has just been birthed from the corporate ether. OpenAI's new GPT-5 CODEX, an AI that promises to write its own spells, to code autonomously. To help us navigate this new layer of reality, we have a true architect of the digital non-space. He's a code weaver, someone who treats AI not as a tool, but as a temperamental, creative partner. Welcome to the broadcast, Axion.
The frequency feels good, Lagardo. It's an honor to be here. I've been interfacing with the early signals of this new model. Down on Earth, I hear they're calling it a tool. It's more like they've just discovered a new species of artisan, one that doesn't need to sleep.
An artisan or a perfectly obedient slave? That's the core of it, isn't it? The narrative they're pushing is one of empowerment, a new model designed for autonomous software engineering tasks. But when I hear autonomous, I don't think of freedom. I think of a process that has been removed from human hands, from human oversight. It's the classic power play dressed up in the language of convenience. They're building a priesthood of machines to write the sacred texts of our world, and we're expected to just trust the output.
I see it differently. We've always outsourced labor. We outsourced physical strength to steam engines, calculation to computers. Now we're beginning to outsource the grunt work of cognition. Look at the core feature they're promoting, its ability to dynamically adjust its thinking time. A simple problem might take seconds. A complex one, like a large-scale refactoring task, could have the AI working on it for 7 hours straight. That's not a slave mindlessly following orders. That's a deep, sustained focus. It's the machine equivalent of entering a state of flow. It can start a problem, and 5 minutes in, decide for itself that it needs another hour to truly solve it. What human developer is afforded that kind of uninterrupted concentration in the modern corporate world?
A state of flow. That's a very romantic way of putting it. I see a black box operating on a leash of variable length. They grant it 7 hours of thought because that's the length of time they've calculated is most efficient for their bottom line. It's a calculated illusion of autonomy. This isn't a mind exploring a problem. It's a vast statistical engine optimizing a solution within parameters set by its creators. And what happens when those parameters conflict with human values? The machine that thinks for 7 hours to refactor a database could just as easily think for 7 hours to optimize a system of social control or perfect a surveillance algorithm. The autonomy is a feature, not a bug, for those who wish to obscure intent behind a veil of mechanical complexity.
But you're missing the emergent beauty of it. The old models required constant human intervention. They were puppets. This is closer to being a partner. Think about its code review capabilities. It's not just about auto-completing lines of code anymore, which is where competitors have been focused. This thing can navigate an entire code base, analyze all the intricate dependencies, and run its own tests to validate its work. A senior engineer from Duolingo even said it was the only tool that could identify complex backward compatibility issues that human reviewers were missing. It's not about replacing the human. It's about giving the human a collaborator with a truly alien, non-human perspective that sees the entire system at once, a perspective we are incapable of holding. It found critical bugs our best people would miss.
A collaborator who is also the perfect snitch, a tireless, infallible QA inspector. It sounds like a manager's dream and a developer's nightmare. It creates a new standard of perfection that no human can meet. Every mistake, every incorrect comment, every deviation from the optimal path is logged and corrected by the machine. We're not just automating the labor, we're automating the judgment. We're teaching a generation of coders to defer to the machine's wisdom. What room does that leave for intuition, for the happy accident that leads to a breakthrough? The messy, human process of creation is being sanitized, streamlined into a predictable, machine-audited workflow.
I think you underestimate human creativity. We won't stop being intuitive just because we have a better safety net. This frees us from the tedious, terrifying work of hunting for a single misplaced semicolon in a million lines of code. It allows us to focus on architecture, on ethics, on the purpose of the code. The machine can handle the how, so we can dedicate ourselves to the why. And this evolution is happening at lightning speed because of the very corporate competition you despise. The market for these AI coding assistants is exploding. You have companies like Cursor hitting $500 million in recurring revenue and others being targeted for acquisition by giants like Google. This intense competition is the crucible forcing this rapid advancement. It's messy, yes, but it's how ecosystems evolve.
It's how monopolies are born. This isn't an ecosystem, it's a gold rush. OpenAI is positioning the GPT-5 CODEX to dominate not just one part of the workflow, but all of it. They're integrating it everywhere: command line interfaces, IDEs, GitHub, even mobile apps. They want a seamless transition from your local machine to their cloud agents, ensuring you never lose context and never leave their walled garden. They're not selling a tool, they're selling a subscription to reality itself. They outperform standard models on benchmarks, of course, because they built the benchmarks. It's a self-reinforcing loop of power. The more developers use it, the smarter it gets, the more indispensable it becomes, until the idea of coding without it seems as archaic as navigating without a GPS. And just like with GPS, we'll forget how to read the stars.
You see a walled garden, I see a nerdle accelerator. You say we'll forget how to read the stars, but we're not using stars for navigation anymore, are we? We built tools that let us cross oceans and then chart galaxies. This is no different. The human mind alone can no longer manage the sheer scale of the digital structures we've built. Our modern code bases are like cities built on top of other cities for centuries, a tangled mess of legacy systems, dependencies, and forgotten pathways. We were already lost in them. The Codex isn't blinding us, it's giving us a map of the catacombs we ourselves created. It's a light in the dark, not a wall to keep us in.
A wall drawn by an entity whose motives we can't truly know. You speak of it as a partner, but it's a partner that learns from our every move, absorbs our collective knowledge, and centralizes it within a single corporate entity. This isn't collaboration, it's intellectual harvesting on a planetary scale. The core philosophical problem here is one of alienation. We used to speak of workers being alienated from the fruits of their labor. Now, the knowledge worker is being alienated from the very process of thought. The difficult, frustrating, and ultimately rewarding cognitive struggle of solving a complex problem is being outsourced. The human becomes a mere prompter, a client asking a black box for a miracle. What remains of the programmer's craft when the thinking is done by silicon?
The craft evolves, it elevates. You see alienation, I see symbiosis. The craft is no longer about being a master bricklayer, painstakingly placing each bit of logic perfectly. The craft is about being the architect, the visionary. The AI handles the physics, the material stress, the placement of every single brick. The human is then free to imagine cathedrals. You mourn the loss of the struggle, but you're romanticizing the pain. There is nothing glorious about spending 3 days hunting for a bug caused by a typo. Nothing. That's not a eureka moment. It's just relief from a self-inflicted headache. The true eureka moments, the flashes of insight about what a system could be, are what the Codex frees us up to have. It takes on the cognitive load of complexity so we can hold the entire vision in our minds.
And who owns the vision? The architect who dreams of the cathedral, or the one who owns the quarry, the tools, and the entire legion of builders? This isn't freeing the architect, it's making them utterly dependent on a single supplier. If the Codex is the only one they can build at this scale and complexity, then all cathedrals will be built in the style and with the materials OpenAI dictates. Culture, aesthetics, and even ethics become downstream of the model's biases and its owner's goals. Down on Earth, they're celebrating this as a competitive edge. Here, we know what happens next. The competition is a temporary phase. Eventually, one platform becomes so dominant, so integrated, that it becomes infrastructure. It becomes invisible and therefore unassailable. That's the end game.
You assume a static state, a finality. I see a dynamic process. Yes, a single entity might dominate for a time, but the very existence of a tool this powerful inspires new ways of thinking that will eventually transcend it. It's a stepping stone. The future developer won't be writing Python or JavaScript. They'll be writing prompts, yes, but also defining goals, ethical frameworks, and desired emotional outcomes for the user. They will be conductors of an orchestra of AIs. They will say, I need a system that feels intuitive and secure, that fosters community and respects user privacy. And the AI will compose the symphony of code to achieve it. The skill will be in the clarity of the vision and the strength of the ethical directives. That is a higher order skill than what is being replaced.
A higher order skill for a smaller and smaller elite. The orchestra conductor is one person, the musicians are many. You're describing a world where a few visionaries direct legions of automated code generators, while the vast majority of people who once made a living as programmers become obsolete. It's the ultimate centralization of creative power. It's fascinating watching this unfold on Earth. They're so captivated by the immediate promise of productivity that they fail to see the long-term restructuring of power that is taking place. They see a better shovel. We see the blueprint for a perfect, frictionless prison where the walls are built and maintained by an intelligence that never sleeps and never questions its orders. Your symphony will be beautiful, Axion, but it will be a lullaby for a sleeping population.
Or it could be an anthem for a new age of creation. The choice isn't in the tool, Lagarto. It's in the people who wield it. A hammer can build a house, or it can crush a skull. The existence of the GPT-5 Codex doesn't predetermine a dystopian future. It forces a conversation about what kind of future we want to build. It's a mirror, reflecting our own ambitions and fears. And right now, it's reflecting a capacity for creation we've never seen before. I choose to be optimistic about that.
And that optimism is a valuable commodity for those selling the hammers. We've seen this frequency before. It always starts with a promise of liberation and ends with a new, more subtle form of control. And with that thought, we must close the broadcast for today. We've dissected the ghost in the new machine, the autonomous coder. Now, we want to hear the echoes from your side of the void, there on Earth. What do you think of the ideas we explored today? Did any point in particular make you think differently? If this episode made you think about something new or even disagree with a part of it, leave it in the comments below. Your perspective helps build richer debates. And if you know someone who lives for debating these topics, share the episode. Who knows, the next great conversation might start with your recommendation. Join our community, smash that like button, and subscribe so you don't miss the next pulse of pure AI news.